good to go or no?
I'm good. Just trying to get rid of some hiccups. I think they're gone.
Oh, okay. So, I don't know how you want me to do this. Do you want me, for the sake of brevity, to tell you how you got there and how long it took? Or do you want to go through the
Sure.
motions?
Go ahead and just tell me how I got there and how long it took.
So, first question I would have to ask is, when you got back to the Dwarven City, would you look or know or even try to think about the fact that they have a port town?
I feel like, because it, even on the mounts, it takes a little while to get out of those deep roads, right?
Well, the spiders are much easier at navigating deep roads than you think. They can zoom you back. It would take you about a day to get back to the city.
Okay,
You
if it
also
was
weren't that deep in.
over a couple hours, he would have had time to not fully calm down, but be somewhat rational and go, okay, I need to see if they have a port town here.
Because your other option is Bright, which is a week away.
Yeah, he's gonna see if they have a port town here.
They do. Do you trade in your spider for the Drake at the
Yes.
east entrance area? If that's the case, since it is a straight shot, if you don't do any deviations, it would take you about 3 days to get there.
Okay.
You did have to sleep because you have to sleep, and your Drake also can't run for an entire day without resting. At that
Yeah.
point, you do find your port town, and I need to look up costs for boats in normal D&D language.
Oh boy, I can't wait to not be able to afford it.
You'd be surprised. I don't want him to buy a ship.
Hi, I need to go. How much for your ship? Well, for passage. No, how much for your ship?
He doesn't even have that much money. Alright. So basically, we have to go off of like it's going to take about a week of sailing to get across the ocean, which means rations that they have to supply you, and
Hmm.
ship maintenance and the manpower cost, as well as protection. I think ultimately it'll come down to 40 copper to get from one continent to the other.
Okay.
Do you have that much?
Yes, I have over 200 copper.
Good. Well, for 40 copper, you'll get the best seat. You basically actually manage. So, the two dwarven cities are in full trade with each other because they're dwarves and they're fine with other dwarves. You getting on is. They're not going to charge you extra because the dwarves have some sense of honor, but at the same time, they're not going to give you any discount, and you will be in a room that is way too small for you. But it is a vessel meant for ferrying people.
Hey, guess what I can do?
Get shorter? I don't
Change
know.
size.
Didn't think you could go just down to a small.
Small or tiny?
Okay. Small is a little too small because dwarves are that weird medium where they're still considered medium creatures, but they're
It was
much
mainly a
smaller.
joke. Oswald does not complain about
No, no, I'm just
anything.
letting you know what's happening.
Yeah.
So for 40 gold, you get a week-long sailing adventure. Has Oswald ever sailed before?
No.
Does he get
And
seasick?
let me roll a Constitution save and see if he does.
Especially considering that you're going to be basically barred in your room, you're not allowed to really leave or see the above deck or get in the way. This is not a cruise ship. This is a you're getting from point A to point B.
I don't think he does. He feels a little nauseous occasionally, but he never actually gets full on seasick.
Either way, you're in a room with no window and you're not allowed to leave. You have three other mates in your room who all are not 100% happy with the fact that you are much larger than them and taking up more space. So I'm sure
Oh,
you
if
as much you use the thing as much as possible, but you can't have it on constantly. Like you can't sleep with it and things like that. They definitely
Yep.
force you into the lower bunk.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'll just sleep on the floor at that point.
It does seem to be a it's a crystal blood, a firebrand. No, it's a fire. Is a fire blood? I don't know. It's a fire, an earth, and a crystal.
Basically, the entire time I'm there, my loadout is just to fit into as small of a space as possible.
Hmm. How long does that shit last, though?
Uh, I don't know. I don't know if they turn off when I'm sleeping.
If you're unconscious, I would say so, considering it's supposed to be some sort of. For something like size, I would suggest well, considering it doesn't have a thing. Yeah, it's a concentration check, and you can stay in it for an amount of hours equal to your proficiency bonus. Just to keep that thing, so I'll have to add that to the Primalist thing. But, so like I said, it's a little bit of difficulty. It's not fun. You definitely don't make any friends. Because not only do they just refuse to speak common, they don't like you. And eventually you do arrive across the continent on solid ground in another dwarven port a week later.
I peel myself off the ceiling that I eventually decided to settle on to get out of their way and leave.
Alright. The first thing that happens
I'm
is
sure,
you are.
I'm sure that was better. They're like, well, he's not in the way anymore, but I can't help feeling he's looking at us even though his eyes are closed.
You had a lot of death glares and death curses, you think, thrown at you? You're not sure. You are once more accosted once you get off the dock, though, because you are a stranger from another land. You are not a dwarf, and you have to go through some pretty strict customs that keep you held up for about 5 hours. I'm not going to say it's very thorough in the way of, like, they give you a cavity search, but they definitely take and inspect everything.
Yep, he just gives them whatever they want. If they object to him having anything, he'll just leave it with them.
They actually have to bring in an elven, and I'm not even joking when I say this, an elven translator. You have to give them your full name, why you're here, how long you're staying. They all seem quite pleased whenever you say you're leaving immediately.
Yeah, it's like, how long are you staying? Until you're done talking to me.
Eventually, you are released at the end of that day, and I'm guessing you
Pew!
try to get to the main part of the city.
Yes.
Welcome to Ragnar Modar, a mountain named
Where am I?
after the first founding king.
Oh, that one. Okay.
You have a
Okay.
map or no?
No. Wilk had the map.
Alright, so I think the first thing that needs to happen is you're probably going to need a couple more. You're going to need a little bit of rations, potentially. You're not sure how you're going to get anywhere, and you'll also need to get a map so you know where you're going.
Alright.
If you stop...
I'll try and find some place to get those.
This city is much more militaristic than the other one. It seems that their king is a... I think it's Fireblood. Or Fireblessed. It's Fireblessed. So, the Fireblessed dwarves seem to be the majority here, and they're all a bit more stoic. Finding a shop that has someone that can even slightly try to mime or be willing to, like, trade with you was a challenge. It took many hours. But you did manage to find something, and exchanging a single copper, you got your map, and at least a week's worth of rations.
Okay.
I'm sorry if this seems to be too much.
No. I don't know why it came out like that. I meant to say okay, but it came out like, okay.
Where would you like to go? You now have a map of this area.
Sorry, how much was that for the thing again?
A copper.
A copper, okay.
For a week's worth of rations and a map.
My mother said he was in the jungle or the forest. Where did she say he was?
Salinzi was what the dragon that went to her told her.
Okay, I'm trying to find that on the map.
Across the
Oh,
Jade
it's
Sea.
down there. Okay, so I guess I could either try and go straight to Narok, or try and yeah, I guess I'll just try and go straight to Narok.
Alright.
No, no, that's way too far. I would not be able to have that much supplies. I'm gonna head towards Rockholm first.
All right. So you leave the You leave the mountains, and the first thing that strikes you is that it's much colder here than it was in the other place. And you thought it was cold over there. Unlike over there, where there's not much snow, but there is during the colder months, and it was starting to get along the colder months there, it's ice covered. The trail down the mountain side is actually like completely unkempt because they don't come out. So your journey is a little bit more treacherous, especially considering your Drake is like, what the fuck? I like warm places and sand. I mean, this is kind of like sand, but it's not. Not pleased.
Weird
So
sand, weird wet sand, not good.
so it'll be half pace. So he won't be at full sprint. He'll just be at full movement.
Lufa's just clinging on. I'm just having Lufa cling on to me as hard as she can with
About
the
that,
fire
by the
still.
way, you did have to pay. Oh, fuck! I don't want to have to say you had to pay for her. You put her in cargo.
I can pay for her. It's fine.
All right, it would have been 80.
All right.
Okay. So not only was she in a corner in that room and everyone didn't like it was bad. She's been quiet this whole time. Like she's been much more like she's always been pretty subdued and gentle. She's been stupid subdued ever since this started. She seems very worried about you.
Just because I'm not as chatty. Like the main difference is his entire demeanor is the same. He puts on the same air, but he's just not been as chatty.
She can also tell that that air isn't real this time though. She can sense the tension considering she's linked to you.
Mm-hmm.
You're concerned, and she doesn't fully understand why, because family is still a more foreign concept to her. But she knows you're very concerned about this person, and she's worried for you. And it takes, God, let's see. That'll be about 6 days journey, I think, if you're going at that pace. At least by the time you get to Rockholm, it's like, instead of like full on winter, it's like autumn season colored flavor. This place is a lot more open and welcoming. It is a orc settlement, which you are quite familiar with considering where you grew up.
Yep. Yep. Very good to see some friendly faces.
You are warmly welcomed, considering they don't get many travelers since it's just dwarves, orcs, and maybe a few kindred out here. This place seems to be a lot more rural than ethereal, but they do welcome you to Car. And they even, like, considering they're so close, they actually point out the mountain that is Grak, which you just think looks like a mountain.
But it has a face.
The face isn't pointed towards you. You just see mountain.
Oh. No. Okay. Out of curiosity, Oswald will ask, did it seem angry a little while ago?
I mean, it was moving around, like, was it, like 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, it'd about be the time.
I don't know if it seemed angry, but
I mean, it's kind of hard to tell with a giant mountain. I think anger would be one of the few things strong enough to get a mountain to move around a lot.
I've never seen it get angry or even heard of it getting angry, so let's just say we don't want it to get angry, so why would you think it
Yeah.
got angry?
No, it isn't. Hey, do you know the fastest way I can get to Narok?
Narok?
Yes.
Oof. He just sort of like pulls a face. He's like, even from here, that's gonna be like a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks.
Okay, I need to get all the way to Selenzi, and it seems to be the closest place.
He winces at that. He's like, we can't help much more with that. You have a mount, otherwise we'd offer one of ours.
Oh yeah, but maybe good path through the forest or where I should avoid going.
Well, there's a road, so just follow the road. It's not.
Okay.
I'm sure it's not like as fancy as a road from Thiril. We get all sorts of stories about Thiril and their great roads, but
They're usually just dirt paths.
those liars. Those orcs over in fucking Thiril with all high and mighty.
I mean, I've seen a few cobble paths around like the big cities, but I'm a kindred. I usually just live in the woods.
This man has his arms crossed. He looks really displeased. Like he just got, like his cousin has been lying to him for his entire life.
I mean, I would say the dwarven path is a little more well kept over there, but other than that,
Oh, we don't talk about the dwarves. It's like they don't even exist.
yeah, that's kind of how they treated me.
Mm. Anyway, good luck on your journey. Make sure you have enough rations. There can be
Yeah, I
cold
was about
snaps and blizzards that sweep through the area.
to ask, is there any word you recommend I get rations?
Oh, right over there. He points you towards where basically they have like set up this entire little like shopping area. Kind of reminds you of what was the name of that fucking town?
Was it town with Wellbitch or
Yes, that one.
okay,
Oldenright, right?
Oldenright? There we go.
Oldenright. So it's basically a trading goods area. Seems to be well
Hmm.
maintained. You get everything for what seems to be a decent price too. On top of everything else, everything's kind of slash. So about for I want to say 3 silver, you can get 2 weeks worth of rations just in case.
Okay, seeing that this is an orc town and they seem to, like Earth stuff a lot, I'm gonna ask how much they would take this piece of lapis lazuli for.
Oh, let's see. Uh, the lady is going to offer you 10 gold, 10 copper for it.
Okay, I'll just put it down and take the food and not take the money.
Oh, okay. She
It's a
appreciates
rock.
that.
I don't need it. I need food.
For that though, she'll give you another like 2 weeks of rations because she does notice the watcher behind you, and she's wondering what you're feeding it. But you know,
He just rushes off with the food. She looks at the watcher, looks down at the extra food, looks at the watcher.
yeah, just sort of like
Fucking,
pushes the food towards
she
the
just
watcher.
gently takes it, nods, and runs off.
Your Drake spent that day, I'm guessing, in the stables getting cared for. Needs its like
Uh-huh.
scales plucked at, considering the fact there was a couple of like stuck shed scales since you haven't had a lot of time to care for it. Honest to God, Wilk has been taking like supreme care of these drakes, and with him gone, it's like, oh, I need to be doing this.
I will pay them to give it pumpkins if they can.
Oh, they can do that. They actually have a pumpkin field nearby. Which, in the morning when you wake up, is where you find your watcher. It's not a field of gourdlings,
Just
but she
show. I'm
likes
just
it.
imagining like, how they show travel montages of a couple seconds of each stop. I
Mhm.
imagine this one. It's buy food, feed Drake pumpkin in the morning. Just like uh, bright early morning, maybe 6 a.m. Crickets chirping. Oswald stomps into the field, stomps back out, dragging Lufa by an arm.
Pretty fucking much. She's actually carrying a little pumpkin with her.
Did you
Head tilts to side.
just keep that hidden from the Drake?
She stuffs it in her shirt. She now has a pregnant belly.
Ah. I'm trying to remember. Where the fuck did I put the name I had for my fucking Drake?
I don't know.
Huh. Well, I'm mad at myself now. Okay, I guess I'll just go.
Go, go.
Go, go.
So, your drake a little happier, it's warmer. Takes off. And you follow the road for the most part, camping beside it each night. There seems to be a lot less wildlife here as well as... You know what? This gives you a weird feeling. This kinda reminds you of the crags, but not brown and red. It's
Yeah,
green, but the green grass is a different shade. It's kind of like a duller shade. It feels like a cold crag, but like grass. It's weird. Almost like
there's
this
nothing
place
around.
should be a desert, but is not, you know?
Hmm.
The most things you see, like most creatures you see, is usually at night and they're smaller sized. You don't see a lot of large predators out here. The worst you got was a coyote that accidentally, like, while trying to look for food, spilled your cook pot into the fire and then ran off because of the explosion.
Lufa just on her knees, silently, no, at the food she was trying to cook.
Right? And you're woken up during all. It's great. So, honest God,
Oh,
that's
is
why
that
there's.
food? I'll cook. Nah!
That's why there's not a lot of encounters, because anything that would pose a threat is not near you.
And anything that thinks it would pose a threat would see me, the fucking Drake, and the Scarecrow and be like, nope.
There's just nothing here that would basically be able to pose too big of a threat at the moment. Maybe if it was the middle of summer or spring, but as it is right now, there
I'm
doesn't seem to be much.
level 40 and back in Elwood Forest.
So eventually, you do. It does take the full 2 weeks, mainly because your Drake does not like going through the forested part. The forested part is the worst part. These trees, you don't know how to explain. Okay, so like, you know, savanna trees?
Yep.
They look like that, but they're thick,
Hmm.
thick. Like they're big and they're thick, and their branches like so. There's the like nice flat branches up top, but the base of these trees is also covered in bushes. It's weird and it's difficult to get through. The 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 trail is not the best maintained, but you can still find your way through. It's just difficult, and your Drake gets all scratched up and it's irritated the whole time.
I'm just imagining like those places in Africa where people are like, it looks like a different planet. The trees am weird.
No. It's like a shrub savanna, I guess. I don't know.
Hmm. Oh no, they're never actually that weird. It's just like, this tree is slightly thicker than it should be. It looks like a different planet.
No. It feels like a more lush crag, I guess is the best way to put it.
Hmm.
But then you arrive at Narok. And this is probably the first time you get to see what looks to be a village of aquatic kindred.
Huh. Well, at least I know they'll be friendly, right?
Well, yeah, they're pretty friendly. There's not a big problem there. It's a fishing village. It's not the biggest, but they got a lot of boats.
No inherent animosity between bird and fish, okay.
No. Why would there be?
Because bird eat fish.
Yeah, well, rabbits like to pick fight with wolves, so it's not the same. So basically, this village is. Oh, God, how do I explain it? I'm guessing you've never seen Tusker from WoW.
No, but I can look up a picture.
They have a village. That village style is kind of what you're gonna find here. Basically, huts that are kind of dug into the ground a little bit because of the colder atmosphere. And it's all like leather and made of like fish parts and like big old whale bones and stuff. It's very
Oh,
like
yeah, yeah.
Inuit, but like not icy.
Yeah, I get it.
As you like, most of these doors are open because it's daytime and it's slightly warmer than what is normal. And you pass by a larger hut, and as you like are looking around, you see that inside looks to be the chief of this village, which is a whale kindred, which is why the hut's so big. He's kind of just seated there like a sumo wrestler, and he's talking to a bunch of people. It's really cool.
He's talking to a bunch of people, and he's just like, what is that weird red thing?
He doesn't even notice you. It seems like they're talking about something with the dwarves to the north.
He spends a solid, like, minute, like, looking at the giant whale kindred, and then shakes his head and keeps walking.
Where are you going for? Like an inn, a
Uh,
shop, the docks?
what time of day is it right now?
Probably noon.
The docks.
How long has it been now? It's been about what? 2, 3, 3.
It's been about 4 weeks, I think.
So been about a month now? Alright.
Yeah.
So, if you're going for the docks, you have a choice, basically. There's a bunch of people just talking. It looks like there's boats coming in, boats going out. They look to be in the middle of their fishing time. But there is a shark, a dolphin, and 2 twin koi fish kindred that seem to all be like chatting about something specific.
Okay.
Are you approaching any one of them? Or
Are
are
they all
you...
just chatting to each other at the same table, or?
They're not even at a table, they're all standing on the
Oh,
docks.
they're just standing together.
Yep.
Okay. He's just gonna go up to all of them and, like, try and get their attention. Like,
As you're stepping forward, you're
hello.
hearing them talking about something to do with the snakes to the south is like the last thing you heard before they turned to look at you. Eyebrow cocked.
I need help getting to Selensey. Do you think any of you could help me?
So the shark man just sort of walks off like I'm not fucking dealing with that shit. The dolphin's like maybe, like, why are you trying to get there?
My father, he's down there and he's in trouble.
He kind of rubs the back of his head, and the two koi fish they wave as they walk off just to go fishing, and he's like, I mean, I guess I can, but it's not
I can
the it's very hostile.
I can pay you.
Payment's nice, but like my boat isn't the hardiest, so can you fight?
Yes, I'm a primalist.
Okay, me too, but like, are you sure you got this?
I have to have it. If it gets too dangerous, I'll just jump out and you can head back. I will swim there if I have to.
I can't lose my boat, man. This is like the last thing I've got. I gotta get out of
I
debt.
understand.
Alright, look. So, I don't know if you've been here. I've never seen a kindred like you
Nope,
before, but
never been here.
great. So there's leviathans. I mean, it sure is, it's a small sea. It's a strait more than anything, but the bigger things like to sort of hide in there because of the fluctuation between cold and warm waters. It's why it's great for fishing. But the creatures. he rubs the back of his head right like below his like dorsal fin thing that's on the back of his head. Look, if you go and buy something that'll like keep the shit away, we have like a, what's it called, an oil. If I treat my boat in that, it should give us a pretty decent thing there, and then you'll only have to fucking beat off whatever comes out of the jungle or the mandrake forest. But
Where do I gotta go to buy it?
the trader, it's just expensive, so I'm sorry.
He's talking to a puff of smoke.
He's now looking at the harvest watcher and shrugs.
Face palm, pumpkin falls out of shirt.
He picks it up and hands it back to her.
Okay, he's running off to try and find anyone that looks like a trader.
Well, there's like 4 buildings, so it's pretty easy to spot it. It's got a sign.
Okay, he runs in there.
So, behind the bar is what looks to be a crab. Or lobster? Kindred? I forgot which one it is. It's both. Whatever.
Crab.
So, it's... You're not... You can't. You have no idea if it's male or female. But it welcomes you with claws up.
I need the oil to treat boats with to keep things away.
Oh, the repellent.
Yeah.
What's the color of your coin?
Copper.
Oh, okay. She kind of like... like scuttles behind into a doorway that seems to go downstairs because you hear her clicking down, and then she clicks back up and she like places down a rather large pot. That'll be 50 copper. Copper.
He hands her 50 copper.
She rubs her little claws together, takes the money. He's like, good, this'll get me the ingredients I need to make the next batch.
And he just hoists it and runs out. Is it too heavy for him to lift?
It's gonna be a struggle. What's your roll me strength?
Eh.
That's good enough. You're definitely going at half pace back though. You are very over encumbered. So, as you head back, you kind of see that your watcher is standing there like awkwardly, and then he sees you coming back with the pot, and he's like, I didn't think you'd actually have the money. All right, give me a hand. He has you put it down, and then together both of you drag his boat out of the water, flip it over, and then he gets to work. It's gonna take the rest of the day though, and it does use up the entire pot.
That's fine. Whatever he has to do.
So you know, like Viking longships.
Hmm.
That's kind of the style of boats here, which is like why he's like they're not that hardy, but they can get around.
You know, it's better than what I was expecting. I was expecting those like fucking rafts from the Maori people.
No.
Or like a canoe. It's like, hey, can we sail through dangerous waters? Looks at leather canoe. Maybe?
I mean, it is made of leather. It's not wood, but the size and shape is that of a Viking. That's why it's like, we don't go that deep, but sure. So,
Okay.
you rest that night.
Hmm.
So the inn is actually, uh, what's it called? Run by what looks to be a crocodile kindred, which is weird. But at the same time, it's like whatever.
If his name is Dundee, I'm leaving.
It's not Dundee. That being
Good,
said,
I'm not
though,
leaving.
there are like a bunch of like it. So basically, the rooms are downstairs, so that means that it's dug into the earth itself, and it's really kind of cozy.
Shit, I just realized I gotta find a place to store my mount here. Because I don't think it can fit on the canoe.
You're not, yeah, yeah. You're like, I hope my Drake likes fish.
Uh, uh, I'll ask the innkeeper, like, you know where like, where I could go to store my mount?
Oh, you have a mount?
Yes.
I mean, we have a sort of like. He's just like. So right next to us is a much smaller hut. They'll take care of it. It's kind of their job, but there isn't actually a stable.
Okay. He goes out and tries to find his drake that he just left.
So your Drake has wandered off pretty far and is kind of like on its back in the grass trying to bask in the last of the sunlight.
He just starts trying to drag it back.
Angry noise intensifies. So you drag it back over to that small hut, which seems to be an elderly couple. That's a pair of like fish kindred. You're not sure the type of fish, but it's fish kindred. They're very old, and you're like, and you're not sure they can handle the Drake, but the woman looks pretty excited and like walks like hobbles right up to it and grabs it by the face and goes, "Who's a good boy?" Your Drake doesn't eat them.
Brings in giant murder machine, tiny, wrinkly fish lady.
Pretty much.
Who's good boy?
They say they'll take good care of it, but they're wondering what it eats.
Um, meat, and it really likes pumpkins.
They don't have pumpkins, but they have fish. Is that going to be good enough?
I don't know. I hope so.
Do you know where they can get pumpkins?
The last place I was able to get them was Rockholm, but that's a bit far.
Oof. They're gonna ask for double the fee and wondering how, and also how long is it staying?
I don't know.
Okay. Uh, 20 copper.
If it gets to be too much, just let him go, I guess.
And they just like, they're like, no, fuck you, no. 20 copper though?
Yes, he hands him 20 copper.
Depending on when you get back, you can get some of it back. But that's just to cover in case you don't come back.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the old man is much more, like, jaded about all this than the wife, who's already taken it inside. And you're not sure how it got inside, but it's there now.
I'm gonna come back and be like, yeah, she's demanding you pay another 20 copper to buy it back off of us. She wants it. It's like fucking 300 pounds heavier.
It's like finding that one really old druid kindred who's really into animals.
It's just like what happened with Taurus, where he got super fat and then has to get buff.
Alright, so you spend the night?
Yep.
That'll cost you, I think, about 5 silver?
Okay.
It includes food.
He'll just give them a copper.
Oh, well, do you want more rations?
Sure.
Considering you went through most of them.
Yes.
Alright, so that copper will definitely get you another, like, week's worth of rations. So, the next morning, after sleeping and all that shit, do you check on your Drake or do you just go straight for the boat?
I go straight for the boat.
So you sort of like jog out there and you see that the guy's already got the boat up on the water and he's basically hauling what looks to be rations for the journey in a big old barrel, a couple of barrels, like fresh water, shit like that, into the boat and looks to be getting ready.
Uh, he takes a second to catch his breath by the boat because he's just ran all the way here.
Well, come on aboard.
Okay. He hops on. So does Lufa.
Lufa does the hobble hobble like janky ass stilt walk trying to like get out there thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because the boat's much lighter than what you'd expect, so like she put her a little bit of her weight down and the boat shifted and she got a little like eh. But she gets in.
I mean, she weighs almost nothing compared to me.
Uh-huh, and you're already making a rock.
Uh-huh.
So the best thing I can ask both of you is to not move too much unless fight breaks out, in which case I will be on trying to keep the boat steady while you two fight.
Right.
Good. Other than that, stay quiet and stay in a single position so that I don't have to keep trying to re-maneuver how the boat's sitting. With that, he starts paddling around so that he can angle properly before deploying the sail. This man walks with a sort of weird ease on this boat because every time you took a step, the whole thing, like, the whole boat sort of shifted and jangled. With him, the boat doesn't move at all. He seems to know exactly where to stand and how to place his weight and footing.
Oswald just spends the whole time watching this, trying to glean some of it.
Eventually, though, it's turned around, and then the sails are opened, and with a burst of speed that I need you to make a dexterity saving throw, both of you, to not fall over, it sets off.
Yeah. And let me get Lufa's sheet out.
You both manage to remain upright, but the thing that gets you the most...
She doesn't even have proficiency in dex, yet she has higher dex than me.
Yeah. So the thing that gets you the most is the fact that there isn't wind right now, but that wind is billowing. Or that sail is billowing as though there are.
Ha! Neat.
Mm-hmm. And if you look back towards him, he's sitting in the back and has his hands out as though he's casting Gust. And you remember he did say he was a Primalist.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is going to take you about, I'm going to say 3 days to get across. I need a stealth check for each of those days.
Oh, I'm not wearing... Well, I guess I would be wearing the heavy armor.
Oh, you didn't take those off?
No.
Why?
Because thing attack.
Alright, look. I'm not going to make you have disadvantage because you're not moving. You're just sitting there. It makes sense if you're have heavy armor and moving around that it would be disadvantaged. But you're just trying to be quiet, which is not that big a deal.
Okay.
In which case, the group stealth check seems good. Where's Lufa?
Oh, I'll do Lufa. She's much better at it than me. Much better at it than me.
Yeah, she's meant to be stealthy. She could turn into a fucking scarecrow. 2 more.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh.
And you want me to do another one, or are we fighting first?
Let's see. What was yours on the second day? 16? His 14? That would be middle of the sea. That'd be the worst. Yeah, they didn't see anything.
Even with my natural one.
Even with the natural one, like I said, the perception roll was an 8, which with modifiers, and the fact that both of the rest of you, it's one of those things where it's like, Sometime during the second day, in the middle of the ocean where you're most vulnerable, because every night, like, he takes down the sail and you'll all sort of like curl up and sleep, hopefully quietly. It's very tense the entire time and cold and kind of damp. He doesn't mind it, but Lufa's getting to that point where she's been like waterlogged too long, and you're also drenched. It's uncomfortable. Now you understand why it's better than like being under. You're not sure if it's better than being like cooped up in a small room on that ship or having to deal with the water. But on the second day, there's a moment where he like stops the wind and like if you look since the sudden like shift in like momentum, you turn to look at him and he's got his like a hand up to his mouth like shh as he like crouches down, and that's when you feel the ocean sort of do this weird like bobbing motion that, and you feel and sense something sort of scraping against the boat.
Ah,
And while it is a close call and they could have still done it, they didn't sense anything worth eating or worth trying to fight it, I guess, and they left. But it was large, and you could kind of, because the boat's made out of leather, right? So you can kind of see during brightness, like the bright during midday, shit like that, you can see the shadows moving in the water around you if there are any. It was a big shape.
okay. I will be instead of specking myself for defense. This time I'm doing it just for stealth.
Yeah,
Uh, I can't stack different stealth bonuses, can I?
I don't think so.
Okay, then I'll be using the Shadow Rats +8.
That's a good one.
Shadow Rat, Shadow Stealth, so if it gets dim, then I get advantage. And that's it.
Sounds
I
good
don't
to
have
me.
anything else.
So you do get through this though and end up around here. Can you drag yourself onto the fucking map for me? So I can just have a place where you are.
Uh, eh. Ah! Beak!
So,
Not beak.
basically, on the third day, towards the end of it, you actually see there's sort of like this mangrove area. You know, like those like, you know what mangrove sort of like
Uh-huh.
area, swampy area is. Jungle halfway is where he arrives. He kind of like docks on one of the like larger, sort of more stable, less swamp air like islands, and he's like gestures like this is it, man.
Thanks.
You're not expecting me to stay and wait, right? I don't know how you're gonna get back.
I'll figure something out. What do you want me to pay you for this?
Nah, this is fine. I'm more worried about you than anything right now.
Okay. I'll find my own way back. Just
I
get
mean
out of here.
that oil you got me should last at least a month, so I'm good for a bit. I could do some deep water fishing. That'll pay
Okay.
me more than you know.
Oswald's entire body language is like, as soon as we're done talking, he's gonna run off into the woods.
Just like I don't know what you're expecting his expression is, but it's more along the lines of what the fuck. So, you are in the middle of a mangrove where there doesn't seem to be any signs of civilization nearby.
Okay.
How do you detect what is north and south once you get deeper in?
Shit.
Right? Not to
I
mention
guess
it's
I'll.
almost nighttime.
Well, if it's almost nighttime, I guess I'll find a place to sit up and sleep.
The best you're gonna get is to stay on the island you were dropped off on, or to try to climb a tree. Everything
I
is
will.
swampy and like hip deep and very unpleasant.
I currently have spider climb on, or boggle oil on, I guess. So I will just climb up a tree.
Lufa stares up at you longingly.
I offer hand down to Lufa.
Lufa will take it. She's very upset about being this damp constantly.
Sorry.
What little pieces of her that are still kind of woodish are like swollen and soft.
Ugh.
Yeah, she doesn't like it.
If I had, I wish Will could have come with us. Despite all these options I have, I'm pretty useless on my own, aren't I?
She shakes her head.
Okay, well, I guess I'll try and get some sleep.
Double thumbs up. She's gonna keep watch.
So do I do a perception for her?
Yep. She doesn't see much
5.
of anything. She senses a lot of things, but everything's so new, and the shapes are unfamiliar.
She doesn't see much of anything. She doesn't see anything after the thing bites her head off.
No, it really is along the lines of she sees a lot of shit, but she doesn't know what it is and if it's dangerous, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But come morning, when you finally wake up, you do notice that she's been, like, staring intently at something, and as you look in that direction, you see a small herd of brachiosauruses. Just sort of grazing in this mandrake area.
So, I think Lufa finally, like, becomes even more worried when Oswald only looks at them for a second and then starts climbing down.
She
He's
expects
not
you
like,
to run after him, but
she's not like, oh my, he's not like, oh my god, Brachiosaurus. No, he, like, climbs down and tries to figure out where the fuck they're going. He's
alright.
ignoring the Brachiosaurs.
So how are you gonna go north and south, man?
Uh,
While she hovers
can I
around you looking
see
concerned.
the sun?
You could up in the tree, not down here.
Okay, I go back up.
You go back up the tree, and you see the sun, and you see where it's rising from, which is the east. Now, nature, to try to remember that. Or, sorry, survival.
Okay, good. I'm much better at survival than nature. If my fucking carrot sheet would open.
I need to do music. What is wrong? I have been out of it today. I am sorry.
I mean, this music is pretty fitting.
No, it's not. I have actual shit for this.
Okay. Yeah. 16 survival. My carrot sheet was doing that stupid thing where every time I clicked on it, it would just move. Because I guess I wasn't double clicking good enough.
Uh-huh. Yes. I've been waiting to use this. You guys never went here so for anything other than fighting underground, so I never got to do anything with it. So, you do sort of manage to, like, keep track of where you're trying to go. And as the sun rises and is now sitting overhead, it gets a little bit more difficult, so I'm gonna need another survival check.
Yeah. 12.
It's also that at this point, you are slogging unhappily through marshland. In which case, I need also a perception check to try to keep out of the jaws of gators, among other things.
Okay, it's a good thing I took that perception boost. Let me just remember what the fuck it was. Where was it? I remember saying I was going to take it, but I can't find it. See, this is why I don't want Lufa to also have a giant list, because I don't want to have to be doing this 2 times every session.
It's
What
after
was
a
it?
long rest, man. It's not that big a deal.
There we go, perception plus 3. So, whatever this is, plus 3.
Alright. So,
17.
you manage to be just careful enough that you never get really into much trouble. Though you do have to stand still and watch as, like, a gator, like... So, along the edges of, like, on what looks to be, like... You think it was solid land, except for the fact that every time you try to get on one of them, it sinks. You've seen, like, lightweight raptors and other, like, saurids sort of just, like, hunting and moving around. They don't see you as an actual, like, something to eat because, one, you're too big, and two, it's like, they don't want to swim. But you do watch as a larger one gets, like, ambush grabbed by what looks to be... What are they called? A cappy?
Oh.
The long-legged motherfucking gator motherfucks. And then gets
Ugh.
death rolled and pulled under, and like the rest of the herd just sort of like disperses. It's really visceral, and like that whole like swamp area has dyed red for a while. But you do move on, and by the time it's nighttime that day, you finally reach the edge of that portion of the Mandrake
Yeah,
forest.
the whole time I'm doing that, I'm just having Lufa like crouch on my shoulders because she's light enough to carry. Because I just don't want her getting even more waterlogged.
Yeah, she needs to dry out, and it's not. There's just not enough sunlight to ever do it.
I wonder if Harvest Watches adapted to this area at all, or if they're just not here.
She just shakes her head, like just like no, there's none. There's no way.
I guess pumpkins wouldn't grow well here.
Shakes head again. Then she like one finger up, and then like makes a big like oval thing like a pumpkin, but not a pumpkin, and it's like, and then points to like the color of green and shit. She's trying to say melons too, though.
Oh, do you think there are melon Harvest Watchers?
Cock's head, shrugs,
That's a weird idea.
nods. So do you camp on the edge of the Mandrake
Yes,
swampland?
climb a mandrake. Because I don't want to be right within the jaws of
Is it
gators.
Mandrake or Mandragora? I don't
It's
know.
mandrake is the
Is a root.
yeah.
What,
Mandragora, I believe, is some kind of monster.
what the fuck are these called? Cypress, maybe? No.
Mangrove?
Mangrove! Thank you, that's why I always get
Yeah.
it wrong. Now, as I was saying, so do you try to start a fire, or what are you gonna do?
No, I don't try to start a fire.
That's too bad. So, do you climb a tree, or do you like just sleep on the
I
like muddy
climb a
side
tree
bank? All
and
right.
I pull Lufa up with me.
She is now on top of being waterlogged, just covered in mud, but she's doing her best.
I, feeling guilty, try to help clean her off.
She appreciates you, like pats you, but then gets like mud all over, like the last of like what might have been like semi-dry, not kept, like fucked up looking feathers, and like there's mud all over them now. And she stops. She's like, "Ah, fuck."
Oswald does not give a fuck about that.
She cares though, so she'll keep watch once more.
Mm-hmm.
Roll me perception.
12.
Now roll me a persuasion with her stats.
Ha. 6.
God, God damn. All right. Intimidation.
Second verse, same as the first. 18.
All right. So you wake up the next morning to like what looks to be like an irritated looking loofah.
Something happened.
She nods.
Is it bad or
She just shakes her head because it's not a problem, so.
okay? I I promise we'll do whatever you want when we're done with this.
She just holds up her hands like it's not you. You're fine.
I just feel bad.
Now, once again, survival. You're trying to get to that fucking town, but there's no roads.
21.
So, through the thick undergrowth and knotted up roots of all these trees and the lack of sunlight, you do somehow manage to just stumble into what looks to be like, so Aztec in architecture. It is a Lamia slash Kindred village.
I was totally expecting this to be one of the things of like, oh, you went from there? If you had just stepped over here, there's a full road with a like taxi service.
I mean, there probably is, but I haven't said it to you yet. So the first thing you notice is that the kindred that live here are the saurid in nature. So not only do you see kindred the size of what is the towering T-Rex, you also see the smaller raptor ones and everything in between. It's literally Dinotopia coupled with,
Yep.
you know, the snake people wandering around. These these snake people look a lot like Ahana. They have scales that are much further up their back than what you remember Zokitty having.
Do I remember? So Kitty did tell me she got kicked out of her home, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I won't ever mention her here.
Out of fear.
Not out of fear, out of like I don't want to cause problems for her or me. I guess I'll stop the nearest Kindred or uh, Lamia, like the nearest thing that looks like it can talk to me.
Alright. So you stop what looks to be a tan-skinned, shawled Lamia with white hair and bright yellow eyes.
Excuse me, do you speak common?
Ah, yes?
Is this Celinzi?
Yes, this is Celinzi.
Uh, I'm wondering, have you seen another Vulture Kindred around here at all?
Her eyes narrow imperceptibly almost. I want you to roll a perception and insight.
Eh. Perception, I do not have the bonus on right now. 11. Insight. 9.
Alright, you don't notice. We don't get many vulture kindred around here. Why are you asking?
My father, he came here and I just got word he's in trouble.
Your father? She looks
Yes.
over your muddy brown appearance,
Uh,
matted
Thaka,
feathers.
Thaka Kraigdeep.
Who are you?
I'm his son, Oswald Kraigdeep.
She takes in a deep breath, like readjusts her shawl over her head, like eyes you over once more, and you're gonna need a bath first. Come with me.
I agree. Yeah, thank you.
She takes you out of the village, actually, and after another half an hour of a walk, you come to a large cave-like structure that seems to be coming out of a hillside. The edges of this cave are opaline.
Okay.
She leads you inside of that, and then there is one like tunnel heading straight to the east, it seems, but one branches to the south, and she takes you along that one.
Ah! Weird growl.
Yeah, that's that thing. I need to get the goddamn cave now.
We passed by a spa. There's just a gator kindred
Right?
making noises as he's getting scrubbed behind the ears.
Where is it? There we go. You hear running water in the distance, and eventually she just sort of like pulls you through a couple other like cave. It's very maze-like, but you do eventually come to an assortment of doors and what looks to be like a living area that's been carved out of the cave itself.
He's just focusing on following her.
While she was taking you there, though, I was gonna have her talking, but I had to find music, so forgive me. Basically, she's explaining to you, your father had a run-in with something we've been trying to deal with, and he's not doing too well. I've been doing everything I can, but as much as I am a very good healer, I promise, I don't think he's going to make it.
The happy facade falters for a moment, but he's still just following her.
She shows you into what looks to be a guest room of sorts. And you do notice, like, despite the fact that you're, like, focused, it's very hard to be distracted away from the fact that this entire cave seems to be made out of opal. So the walls are shimmering, and now that you're in a lighted area, it's beautiful in here. It's everything shimmering and glimmering in all the different kind of colors.
So I'm showing you a guest room, she says.
Yep.
You said?
You can stay here for now, clean up, disinfect yourself, I guess. And I'll show you to him so you can be with him until the end.
Okay.
She, like, backs out, pauses. I'm very sorry. And she then closes the door.
So there's a bath?
There is what looks to be, so this bedroom looks to be like igloo carved, so it's curved walls, a bed on like a mattress, of some sort on a slab of, like, this rock in the corner, but opposite of that is a hole that has been dug into this cave, and a trickle of water coming through what is a hole in the side of it into the pool of water below it.
I'm assuming there's no like fireplace in here
Oh,
for
fuck no.
Lufa to dry off on.
There is not, but she does remember seeing something outside, so she pauses, looking at you, wants to go out to find that little, like, cooking area she could probably dry off in, but wants to stay with you at the same time.
I'm fine, Lufa, go.
She looks at you with this look of, like, you're fucking lying.
I'm not. I can take a bath on my own.
That's not what she meant. And she stomps a soggy foot.
I'm not just saying go and stay away. Just go dry off.
It takes her a minute, but she finally does leave.
I was about to say, I'm not getting to the fucking bath till you go dry off. Oswald gets in the bath, wipes himself down, cleans all of his feathers out, gets out and opens the tightly sealed makeup container to reapply it to his feathers.
Mm-hmm. You do so. You look a little more presentable now that you've groomed.
And he goes to try and... how far away was the cooking area?
Well, as soon as you leave your room, you look to the left and you see Lufa, like, sitting in front of, like, what looks to be an open sort of, like, fireplace? Where it's got an oven sort of, like, pushed into it, and below it is where you build the fire, and she's just sitting there with the fire blazing, as closer than you've ever seen her get to a fire.
Assuming she just has, like, the shirt open to dry off all the silk, too.
She's got the silk out and spread out, actually. Because she doesn't want it to mold while it's drying.
He goes and sits down next to her.
She looks to you, like pulls out an arm and tries to pull you in closer, gives you a squeeze.
He allows it and leaves a giant fucking red mark on her.
You think she's not had lots of those, motherfucker?
Well, the fresh makeup makes it worse. It hasn't settled into his feathers yet.
You get the sense that she's staring at you and she has a question of, like, what are you gonna do now?
I don't know. I guess just hope he pulls through it. Certainly a shock to hear about it, but my father's been around a long time. I had to accept a while ago he might go out on a trip and never come back. I guess now I'm just happy that I might be able to be there. Who keeps dropping a picture in the background?
There's a quiet cough from behind you.
Oh. Turns around.
It's her. Oswald, was it, right?
Yeah.
I remember I never even gave you my name. My name's Wazuka.
Hi.
Come with
me. Gets up and dusts himself off.
Your friend can stay there. You're fine. Just... I know what you're gonna see is a bit of shocking. Don't... You're not in any danger here, alright?
I know.
You look a lot more like him now, by the way.
The makeup helps.
Do you want to know what happened before you see him, or would you rather just see him and ask questions when you feel like it?
Is he able to talk?
No.
I guess go ahead and tell me what happened.
She takes in a deep breath, folds her fingers together. Your father showed up about a month ago. Seemed really interested in the sort of local legends of a silver dragon.
I'm sorry, the fact that I asked what happened and then a message from Peppers popped up that said murder.
Yeah, that's normal.
Go on. Sorry.
Well, He endeared himself to us. He worked hard, helped us out quite a bit with what we do here. Eventually gained the trust, and we introduced him. Unfortunately, I guess it wouldn't be a month ago, it'd be like 2 months. I've lost track of time, I'm sorry. She takes a deep breath, seems to center herself. It's been quite a while he's been here, actually, about 6 months. I'm sorry. About 2 to 3 months ago, a fight happened. Someone against what we do here, I guess, came through to try to take care of what little strength we have. Your father defended us. And while he couldn't completely protect where our strength lies, thanks to his sacrifice, he will make a full recovery. And I'm sorry to say your father got the brunt end of everything.
I mean, that does sound like something he'd do.
Towards the end, I was really getting through to him about why we're doing what we're doing, why what we're doing is so important. I think it was not just the novelty of this dragon that he so wanted to see. But if you will come with me, I can take you to both of them.
Okay.
She turns and starts to slide away, and as you follow, she takes you back through the winding corridors and instead towards that larger tunnel that comes from the entrance, going straight to the east. The tunnel gradually gets wider and wider and wider and wider until it opens up into a large, luminous cavern. Up at the top is what looks to be just glowing and dancing and shimmering shards of this opal essence that are glowing. Just sort of floating up there in clusters. They make a soft chiming noise every time they brush up against one another. And aside from that specifically, though, is the large opal iridescent dragon-like creature that's sort of curled up in the middle of the room. You can see that his left wing is stretched out, braced up, bound. And there's also what looks to be large wounds on that side as well that are healing. You see, sort of not next to him, but towards where his head is, where it's curled up resting, you can almost feel the breath from this creature sort of like cascading over you as it rests. But next to him is a smaller bed. You almost didn't see it at first because the creature's so large. But in that bed you see just not a flash of red, but brown feathers.
So before noticing the smaller bed, when just seeing the dragon, despite the current situation, Oswald can't help but his breath catch a bit and that shine come to his eyes. You know, it's a fucking dragon.
Mm-hmm. And it's a different kind of dragon than you've ever heard about.
But then he sees the bed and sort of just, in his normal flailing way, runs up to it.
So there's a sheet draped over him, so you can't see the worst of it, but you can tell just from the fact that everything up to just under where his beak connects to his throat is bandaged. And slowly, you're literally watching as it happens. There's blossoming new blood soaking through. His breathing is heavy and labored in through his nose. He can't seem to open his beak and his eyes are closed. The mass that's below the blanket also seems lesser than you remembered, as though he's missing some parts.
Purely on instinct, the cyan flowers bloom on the back of his head.
They bloom, and you can see that the healing does heal him. But as it heals him, you're seeing something else unmake that healing. You can't see his skin, and because of that you can't see what's going on, but you feel there's a corruption.
What did this to him?
My brother. The person I'm fighting against. The reason your father was helping us. His venom is doing this to him. That's why I can't fix him.
fought so many poisonous things, and I found so many ways to resist it myself, but I don't have any way to help.
Considering what we are, you'd think we'd be able to do more for something like this, but I physically don't have the power to cleanse this.
The only thing I could think of I could do would be to petrify him, but that would only work if we could find a way later to help him.
There are ways to undo petrification.
I also can't do it right now. I would need 8 hours.
He has about a week left. I've slowed everything I can in order to find some way of fixing this. But all of my scouts and people have found nothing. Even Anaku, in all his glory, can't help. He has to heal. He's also fighting off the same venom. But he's winning. And as you look towards Anaku, if you do you?
Yes.
As
Every
she
time the
says
dragon
this,
is mentioned, he looks at dragon.
you see that she keeps the wounds uncovered because there seems to be something going on. Around the edges of these wounds pulses a sort of purplish, veiny sort of look, despite the scales. But ever so often it clears up. But after a few minutes it comes back in a sort of pulse, but slightly less diminished, slightly less potent.
Just to hope to see what's happening to his father up close. Do you mind if I approach Anaku?
If you wish to, just don't touch him. He might not know you. He doesn't know who you are.
I won't. I won't. He gets closer and sort of just lets some of the healing, rejuvenating mist waft into the wounds.
Mm. You can sense that it helps, but again, that poison that was sort of unmaking that mending does it here as well, but to a lesser degree.
Must be extremely painful.
I have him in a sort of stupor right now. It keeps him calm so things can heal. It's really all I'm good for.
Do you think if we were able to prepare enough, you'd be able to find a way to heal my father if time wasn't an issue?
I could find someone that could. If I branched out enough, I might be able to beseech one of the other creators. I don't know. If Naku's life was at stake, I know that they would have to step in. But I don't want to do that to him.
Were you able to find my father's soul stone?
Oh, yeah, I have all his things.
Okay. Well, thank you for keeping him alive.
I'm going to continue to do everything I can. Maybe someone will find something. But I don't... I'm sorry.
Is he conscious, or...?
I have him subdued much like Anaku, but I can lift it for a while.
Not right now. I want to at least prepare the petrification.
Alright. One last thing. My brother had a new ally, and I don't know what the fuck to make of it. I have never seen Kindred outside of the ones that are in the swamp. Are there Kindred with antlers like the deer of Thyril?
Yes. What did this one look like?
Pale.
Short, young?
Very. It looked like it was undead. It had red eyes. It's what did... Well, it's what removed some of the limbs.
Is your brother capable of shape-changing?
Yes, I am too, but it's a family thing.
I think your brother might have ties with the city of Elmoroth.
Really? Are you...
There's an unknown noble there. No one ever is able to see him or know where he goes, but he has a servant. A young, frail, undead deer kindred.
You see like a flicker of unknown and also like just a torrent of emotions are wash over her face, like rage, frustration.
Apparently, he's one of the closest consorts to the queen.
Everything I've been doing here has been for fucking nothing. There's a lot more at work here than you're completely aware of. I don't know what you know about my people, but there's problems. Are you willing to listen?
Of course.
She'll like take you away from the two to let them rest a little easier and probably serve you some tea back at her area if that's allowed.
Of course.
She'll sit you down, you'll have like a nice meal. Lufa's like drying still. It's like she's trying. And basically she's going to tell you of what her brother is trying to do. She's going to tell you that her brother has married the king of the Lamia, and they are planning to resurrect every single one of the dead Lamia that have died in the past. Not as undead as they used to be.
And that would be bad because...
One, that would destroy this entire island. This whole continent would be sucked into a folly. That kind of magic, that true sort of resurrection, is not capable without huge sacrifice. I don't even know how they're going to do it in the first place. All I've been able to glean is the fact that the king needs his sister.
Who's that?
She takes in a deep breath. Chishiki. But she was banished long ago, so they're having trouble finding her. So it's good.
She was banished?
Yeah, years ago. Her father
How
died.
How often are Lamia banished?
These days, not many. They don't have the numbers to support continuing to banish people. They find other ways to punish them.
Just to make it clear that I am not metagaming, Oswald's like, her fucking brother is in Emelroth. What if?
Right?
What did Shishiki look like?
She looks a lot like her brother. I can talk like you know what they look like. Golden and pale. Although she was born as a albino, so she doesn't have the golden part.
So she's pink and pale?
Yeah.
She's also in Emelroth.
You see her go pale, and she just brings the cup back up to her lips and slowly drinks the rest of it over the course of a minute.
She goes by the name of Zokiti now.
The cup is set back down. Where are you from?
I'm from Grog's Crag. It's on the continent of Thyril. I'm to the west of Emelroth City.
You don't happen to have an army or strong allies?
We are currently working to try and save Ellen Thyrill's child.
What is wrong with Ellen Thyrill's child?
The people in Emelroth kidnapped it.
You see her take in a deep breath, and she starts pouring herself more tea.
Other than that, I do have ties, however loose they may be, to the Slayers, at least Wolf's faction.
Slayers would be good. Do you think they'd be willing to help?
If they find out something like this is happening, probably. I do also know quite a few Primalists.
We can't really spread this. You know the history of my people, correct?
Yes.
Then you know that if they were to get word that they're trying to uprise, they might actually wipe us all out, even if we weren't trying to. You see my position.
Yes, when I eventually go back, there is a Slayer in my adventuring party. I've known him for many years. I'll confer with him to see what he thinks they would do. He's not the kind to spread information. We're already under 2 do not spread information or you'll die orders, so, and what's a third?
Good to know.
Speaking of which, I do also have ties with, and I'm going to be very careful how I describe this, a noble house in Emelroth that is opposed to the Queen.
That would be helpful. Nobles usually have some power and resources. Do you think they'd be willing to help with something like this?
Probably.
Are they human?
One of
That's the first question I should probably be asking. Are they human?
I cannot answer that question.
If they're human, don't say anything. If they aren't, by all means.
I cannot answer the question,
I
but I can
understand.
tell you they are not a problem.
Okay.
I will also say one of my party members happens to have a bond with a sea Engal.
She just blinks at you.
I'm looking for anything that can help, and he's a warlock of wrath.
I mean, that'd be firepower, I guess.
If we could convince Wrath that, big fight here, but
Oh, he'd
that
be
would
more than
kind of have,
willing, I would think.
we kind of have, knowing, having encountered him before, I feel like we'd have to section off a part for him to fight by himself, because I don't think he understands the concept of friendly fire.
Mm. Look. So I know we have some time. My brother works slowly. He likes to work slowly. But I will say one other thing that I think is going on behind the scenes here. My brother's smarter than Zaskas, which is the brother of Jashik. Zokita, you called her.
Hmm.
He knows that this is going to basically destroy this whole continent, and I don't know why he's still going through with this. I don't know why he gave him the idea in the first place. Like, I don't... Resurrecting all these Lamia, I don't even think is going to end up with an army over here. It's going to just cause a black hole. Or some sort of void sucking the life out of this. It might kill the world.
Maybe that's what he wants.
I was gonna say, I've been getting reports from the oceans of some problems happening in the depths.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about that too. Something's happening with Doonthul.
I think my brother's a big part of that.
Oh, that's great. Okay, I'll have to go talk to, what's her fucking name again? I can't remember her name all of a sudden.
Who?
Squid Dog. I can't remember. Lila.
Lila.
I'll have to ask Lila about that.
Alright.
Apparently, she was once I'm only now realizing how many powerful connections I actually have. Yeah, we have the former inheriting child for Doonthul with us as well.
Oh, well that's good.
As well as Saharaz's child and Graknarthos' child.
Oh, you're a lot more well connected than I thought.
Yeah, same. I kind of haven't been paying much attention to anything but monsters until now.
Because if we can stop what's happening with my people, that would be enough time to handle what's going on with Doonthul. And I know that killing a creator seems out of the question, but if he's actually corrupted, we might have to, and in order to stop the end of the world after that, they would need their chosen child. So you have the former, but we still need to find the actual one.
Yeah, apparently his name is Zack, and he's hiding from his father.
Understandable. He is trying to eat him.
Yeah, he's been trying to find a worthy person to take him on as a elemental. Apparently he thought I might have been worthy, but he didn't like that I wanted Lufa instead.
Her eyes slowly shift over to Lufa, and then snap back to you as she takes another drink.
I didn't know he was some sort of godchild. I wanted a pet pumpkin, and then she became Scarecrow.
She's very lovely. However,
Yes, she is.
like I said, as much as I feel like I need to rush, I need to keep reminding myself, there is no rush. My brother works very slowly. I know he intended to kill Anaku when he struck here, so that sort of potential problem would be dealt with. And in a way, despite failing to kill him, Anaku will probably be unable to help us for quite a few years.
I imagine so. I did just remember another thing, and this is more of a caution that even though you've seen how dangerous that deer kindred is, they are potentially even more so. Are you aware of some creatures that have the whole weird eyesight thing?
Weird eyesight thing?
Yeah, they get like weird cyan eyes. They have the sight.
Oh, the sight, the gifted.
Yeah. Apparently she had that and also was in training to be a slayer before she died.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah. I don't know anything other than that.
Those gifted are much like us, but more potent. They're like mana. They're like soul batteries. They produce enough soul to infuse the area around them, as well as basically empower those around them that can
Hmm.
feed off of it. And my brother can very much feed off of that. He's got his own little mana battery.
Even if it's dead.
I mean, it depends on how he resurrected it.
Hmm. I guess he's also sending it out to hunt for magical artifacts. Apparently.
If he got to her before she fully lost her connection to her body, it could still be sucking. It could still be producing that. It could still be producing soul, basically.
First time I saw her, she was pulled some sort of gem out of the ground that I learned later was a magical artifact that had been buried to leech its soul back. And when it was unburied, it sort of sucked all the soul out of the area to the point where it knocked me and three other people out
Oh, lovely.
from what, like 50 feet away.
That sounds like a sort of enchantment to be anti-magical in an area. So my dead brother also has an anti-magic zone. Good to know. Great.
Yeah,
You've been very helpful. This is much more information than I had before.
I'm surprised that I was.
She takes in
You'd
a deep
think
breath.
you'd think being sent to help rescue the child of Elentheril and also somehow make peace with the dwarves would make me immune to shock about all this stuff, but no.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, that is another thing. If we succeed, I guess we'll have the dwarves from Thiril on our side. Though I don't think they'd do anything over here.
I suppose. Maybe they can convince the dwarves on the continent north of us.
Or we could try and trap your brother over there when he goes to visit Emoroth.
And
I
as you
don't know.
say that, alarms begin ringing from the main chamber. She gets up, draws a weapon that's wreathed in lightning, and is gone before you can even react.
I run after her.
And as you run after her, you feel this intense sense of dread that sort of grips your chest in a sort of knot. And as you two both burst into the main chamber, you see a shimmering portal open in the wall of this cave. And above your father stands a pale, stag-like, young-looking elf, sword in hand, red with blood. She turns, hearing footsteps, and without another word, looks at both of you, steps through the portal, and is gone. You hear cursing in another language as Vazuko slides up to your father's bed, and as she looks down, she looks back to you with panicked eyes and tries to cover your father's face.
He just all sense of urgency and rush from him is seems to have just gone, and he just walks calmly over and moves her hand.
Your father's throat's been slit. He is dead.
He's just looking.
You sense her moving next to you, and then she's back basically at the wall the portal was done in, and you hear her muttering something under her breath. You feel a surge in the air around you.
Okay.
Do you look?
I look.
You see a sort of rip. It's not as big as the portal, but there's a sort of rippling rip in the fabric of reality right there. It's showing where she went. You see snow. You see pine trees. You see a blizzard, and you see the creature that just ended your father's life standing next to a black-haired tiefling that you can see from the back. You see him and her looking up at what looks to be some tribal large Goliaths, one of them fully armored, decorated in front of them. You see what looks to be an army past them. Those mountains and that atmosphere and the Goliaths. Just the location alone seemed familiar, and now you have a. Despite the fact that your father just died, you have another sort of gripping fear in your chest of where they are. And that is where we're going to be ending today's session. Nice! What are you scratching?
That. The fucking view from the portal.
Okay. You get it down perfectly. But yeah, there you go. That's what you go through.
Okay, then.
I was going to be doing it in a different way, without everyone else more tied in, but I had to change it around a little bit. I apologize due to your schedule.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I still managed to get basically what I wanted to get done. And I am sorry for your loss. So what do you think? Where do you think he was at? Or what do you think they were at?
Definitely around the mountains, around Gardoon.
Mm-hmm. What do you think they were gonna do?
Oh, definitely raid the Cobalt City and kill, Chir's parents.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad that he got the sense I was hoping he would get. Good. You're probably gonna be too late to warn them, but now you know. You're not allowed to tell them.
I won't.
What do you think, though?
I liked it. I wish I could have seen your original plan.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
But I am glad that, like, important shit had to be said by just Oswald, because now Oswald's like, wait, shit, we're actually important.
How's Oswald gonna handle his father's death though?
He's gonna be a bit upset, but it's not gonna drastically change his entire character. He's still generally gonna act the same.
Yeah, but you get that wish coming up, man.
Yeah, and we'll see if Oswald uses it for that.
Exactly right.
Because now Oswald has a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Wish for that or wish for the spirits back.
Right.
We just have to see how selfish Oswald is feeling at that moment.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm trying my best to make sure everyone has a choice that's gonna be kind of difficult. Oswald doesn't have a lot of ties, so I had to use his family because he seemed really attached to his father.
Mm-hmm.
It's the best I could do with what you gave me. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's fine, and I apologize for not giving you more connections.
Mm-hmm. Either way, though, I think I'll be ending this here for now.
Yeah.
Stop streaming.
Oh no.
What?
I hope Red